Hello, everyone. Tonight, we're stepping into the kind of story most folks hope they never live through. But some of us do. Picture this. Morning sunlight filtering through your living room window, the smell of coffee lingering in the air, your own home quiet and familiar. And then, everything changes with one push. You might not survive a betrayal that comes from your own child. I nearly didn't. So, before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. I love seeing how far these little stories travel. Now, turn off the lights, maybe get a fan going for some soft noise, and let's dive into tonight's journey together. It's strange, you know, how betrayal can creep up on you with the quietest footsteps. My name's Grace. I'm 67 years old. And last Thursday morning, my daughter shoved me down a flight of stairs because I wouldn't hand over my savings. It started like most days do. Small chores, folding towels. "Yeah, I need an ambulance," she said smoothly. "My mom, she's dizzy a lot lately." She missed a step. Yes, she's breathing. I wanted to shout, to correct her, to say this wasn't an accident. But the pain flared so bright and hot across my side, I couldn't make my mouth work. The paramedics arrived quickly. One asked Mia if I had a history of falling. "She's had balance issues," Mia replied, as if rehearsed. "Been telling her to get a walker." I shook my head weakly, but no one noticed. The world blurred again as they loaded me onto the gurney. I caught sight of Mrs. Ellis across the street, peeking through her blinds. We've been neighbors for 34 years. Never once had she seen me like that. Strapped down, helpless, bleeding onto the sleeve of my cardigan. Mia locked the front door behind us, calm as a summer day. The ambulance ride was quiet, except for the siren. I couldn't stop replaying it. The shove, the cold look in her eyes, the way she planned it. Lured me upstairs, made sure no one else was home. This wasn't rage, wasn't some heat-of-the-moment outburst. It was a calculation. And that's when it hit me. Mia didn't see me as her mother anymore. She saw me as an ATM with arthritis. The hospital lights were so bright they practically scrubbed the truth right off your skin. Everything looked clean, sanitized, controlled. But nothing about this was clean. A nurse hovered over me, asking if I could wiggle my toes. I did, slowly. The pain in my hip pulsed sharp and deep, spreading down to my thigh like a warning signal. Every breath was a reminder of how hard I hit the steps. "You're lucky," the doctor told me, flipping through charts. "Nothing's broken. Deep contusion, bruised ribs, but no fractures." Lucky. I didn't feel lucky. Across the room, Mia sat in a plastic chair, scrolling through her phone like she was waiting for her lunch order. No concern, no guilt, just that familiar, mild impatience. She looked up every few minutes, caught my gaze, and went right back to her screen. A nurse came over, soft-spoken. "Do you want me to call anyone?" I opened my mouth, but Mia's voice cut in smooth as silk. "We're fine. It was just a scare. She gets these dizzy spells sometimes." I tried to catch the nurse's eyes, tried to will her to see through it. But she just nodded politely and walked away. Mia looked up, her expression flat. "You're probably staying overnight. Maybe 2. I'll bring your insurance card later. It's in your wallet, right?" A chill ran down my spine. My purse. "Where is it?" I asked, sitting up straighter despite the ache in my side. She blinked, then smiled, that patient smile I'd seen 1,000 times when she wanted something. "Don't worry, I grabbed it. It's in the car." I didn't believe her. My purse had been on the entryway table when I fell. She hadn't come down the stairs until the paramedics did. I wanted to press her, but she stood up before I could say another word. I'll swing back later. Rest up, okay? She leaned down, kissed my forehead like a stranger, then walked out. No backward glance. The room felt colder without her. Later that night, the pain meds softened everything around me, but not enough to dull my instincts. I asked the evening nurse if I could use the hospital phone. My cell's dead, I explained, though I already suspected that wasn't the full story. She wheeled the phone over. I dialed my friend Laura's number. Voicemail. Again, same. Then I remembered. Laura changed her number after her son moved to Boston. She texted me the new one. On my phone. The phone Mia claimed was dead. A quiet, creeping frustration bubbled up. I should have written the number down. But Mia insisted. Digital's easier. I'll keep it all organized for you, Mom. The next morning, the nurse brought breakfast and a stack of forms. Insurance, consent, discharge prep. The words swam on the page. My head throbbed. My ribs ached. And I felt small. Like I was floating just outside my own life, watching it slip through my fingers. Then I noticed the charge sheet. Room costs, medications, and one line that didn't make sense. Private ambulance dispatch. $422. Wait, I pointed at the form. That's not right. I came in with county EMS. The nurse frowned, scanning her notes. It says your daughter arranged the dispatch. Must be a clerical mix-up. I shook my head. No, this isn't a mistake. This wasn't just about pressure. Mia wasn't just angry or desperate. She was strategic. The words stuck somewhere between my chest and throat. She grabbed her bag and walked out, as casually as she walked in, like it was just another conversation. Like she hadn't just thrown away everything that ever tied us together for the sake of a wellness app and a bank balance. I lay back in the hospital bed, the ache of my side nothing compared to the weight in my chest. The only sound was the steady beep of machines and the low hum of voices from the hallway. I felt stripped bare, not just of a home, but of the belief that my daughter still loved me. And yet, under all that ache, something stirred. Not rage, not even sadness. A quiet, stubborn seed of clarity. She wanted me gone. But this time, I'd leave on my terms. And I wouldn't be the one who regretted it. The morning nurse arrived before breakfast, all smiles, holding a clipboard full of discharge papers. Your daughter already signed off on everything, she chirped, like it was a thoughtful gesture. She said she had to run some errands but wanted to be sure everything was in place. I nodded, but inside, I felt ice creeping down my spine. Mia hadn't even waited to see if I could stand, let alone walk. She just signed the forms and left, like I was a package being shipped off. They handed me a pair of hospital-issued non-slip socks and a walker. I eased out of bed, my hip stiff and bruised, every step sending a tight pulse down my leg. Shuffling toward the mirror in the bathroom, I caught my reflection, and for a moment I barely recognized myself. Pale, drawn, exhausted, but not broken. Not yet. Back in my room, a volunteer handed me a plastic bag marked Patient Belongings. Inside was my phone, dead, no charger, and my cardigan, still faintly stained from the fall. I powered up the phone and waited, my stomach churning as the screen flickered to life. My recent call log? Wiped clean. My contacts were untouched, but every recent call, every outgoing number, gone. The knot in my stomach twisted tighter. Scrolling through my messages, I found nothing new from Mia, just a couple automated pharmacy reminders. But then I remembered Laura's number, buried somewhere in an old email thread. I pulled it up, dialed manually. 2 rings. Grace? Laura's voice, Calm, steady, familiar, like a lighthouse cutting through fog. "It's me," I whispered, clutching the phone with both hands, trying to keep my voice steady. I need help." She didn't hesitate. "Give me 20 minutes. 10 minutes later, there she was, my oldest friend, Laura, in a sharp navy blazer, gray hair pinned back, lipstick perfect like she'd just stepped out of court. She carried a manila folder and her well-worn leather briefcase. "What happened?" she asked, sitting beside me, voice low and focused. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I handed her my phone, then pointed to the discharge packet, the billing sheet with that ambulance fee, signed authorization line beneath Mia's name. Laura's eyes scanned the documents, flipping through pages fast, fingers practiced and precise. She nodded once. "Okay then, let's not waste time. I've trusted Laura since we were 20-somethings, both military wives stationed in the same dusty town in Arizona. She went to law school. I raised Mia. Life took us different directions, but we always stayed in touch. When my husband passed, Laura handled the will, the insurance, everything. Mia hated how involved she was at the courtyard where early sunlight pooled on the sidewalks. And for the first time in weeks, I wasn't waiting for a shoe to drop. Laura showed up just after breakfast. A soft knock on the door, her briefcase tucked under her arm, and determination etched into every line of her face. She didn't waste time with small talk. Just sat at the tiny table, opened her folder, and laid the next set of forms between us. "This," she said, sliding one toward me, "is the living trust agreement. Once we sign this and record the deed, everything you own, your home, your accounts, your name, is legally out of her reach." I stared at the form, heart pounding. I hadn't even told Mia I was gone. I imagined her waking that morning, opening my bedroom door, expecting me there, and finding it empty. No forwarded address, no goodbye, just silence. I wondered if she panicked, or if she just shrugged, moved her things into my room, and kept siphoning my life dry. "What about the house?" I asked quietly. "It's still in your name," Laura explained, "but she's been using it like it's hers. Utilities, mail forwarding, furniture purchases with your card. Maybe even the address for that fake business account." She tapped the form gently. "If we don't move fast, she could leverage it." I picked up the pen. My hand shook, but I signed. Laura slid another form toward me. "This freezes your current checking and savings accounts, opens a protected custodial account under your trust. I'll be the temporary secondary until the courts finalize everything." I signed that one too, and another, and another. By the time we finished, my hand ached and my tea was cold. But inside, I felt steadier, like Laura was laying bricks beneath my feet, building me a foundation one signature at a time. "There's more," Laura added, pulling out yet another folder. "A forensic accountant's report. Bank records, flagged transactions, evidence." "Elmstone Wellness is a front," she confirmed. "Mia funneled money there through new accounts she opened in your name. Digital signatures, forged paperwork, even email confirmations rerouted to her." My stomach twisted. "What happens if they prove it?" "Fraud, elder financial exploitation, identity theft," Laura listed calmly. "It's enough for a civil case. And depending how bold she's been, maybe even criminal." A shaky breath escaped me. "I never imagined." I trailed off, eyes falling to the table. "Legal action. Against my own child." Laura's voice softened, but her eyes stayed sharp. "You didn't choose this, Grace. You're choosing to survive it." I stood slowly, walking to the window. The courtyard below glowed with late morning sun. A hummingbird flitted near the jacaranda tree. Part of me still clung to the old version of Mia. the one who cried after her first heartbreak, who fell asleep on my chest as a toddler, who called from college at midnight just to say she missed me. But that version of my daughter, she was gone. And the woman who replaced her saw me as a bank balance, a hurdle, a possession. I don't want revenge, I said quietly, turning back to Laura. I just want her gone. Quietly. For good. Then we do this right, Laura promised. By the book. No loopholes. That afternoon, we drove to the county recorder's office. I used the walker for balance as I signed the deed transfer in front of a notary. The room was beige, cold. But when the heavy stamp clicked down on the paper, it felt like a door closing. Firm. Final. Back at Cedar Pines, the receptionist handed me a padded envelope. Dropped off this morning, she said. No return address. Inside, a cheap greeting card with a smiley face on the front. And one line inside. Call me. We need to talk. M. No apology. No explanation. Just that familiar, bitter entitlement. I didn't call. I walked straight to the lobby shredder and fed it through, slow and steady. That night, sitting at my little table, watching steam curl from my tea mug, I realized I wasn't waiting for Mia to change anymore. I was making sure she couldn't touch me, even if she tried. The knock came just after lunch 2 days later. Not loud, not aggressive, but steady, the kind of knock that comes with an agenda. I had just finished watering the little rosemary plant by my window and was settling in with a cup of tea when I opened the door. I didn't need to ask who it was. Mia stood on the front steps of Cedar Pines, sunglasses perched on her head, arms crossed tight across her chest. Her son, Tyler, hovered behind her, hoodie up, hands shoved deep in his pockets, eyes darting anywhere but at me. Spun on her heel and marched back to her car, heels clicking sharp against the sidewalk. Tyler trailed behind, shoulders hunched, not looking back. I didn't watch them go. I went back inside, closed the door, and leaned against it for a long moment, hands steady, breath even. The confrontation I dreaded, it came. And I didn't crumble. I stood my ground. And that felt like something I could finally get used to. 2 mornings after Mia and Tyler were escorted off the Cedar Pines property, I found a plain white envelope in my mailbox. No return address. But the handwriting, I'd recognize it anywhere. It was Mia's. Too neat, too careful. The same way she used to sign birthday cards when she was little, taking extra time to get her loops just right. Except now, those loops made my stomach tighten. I stood at the small kitchen table, coffee cooling in my hand, staring at the envelope like it might bite. I didn't open it right away. I let it sit there for an hour, circling it, considering every possibility like some kind of emotional chess game. Finally, I slid my finger under the flap and pulled out a folded sheet of notebook paper. And a check. The note was short, breezy almost, written in her loopy script. Mom, I know you're mad. I never meant to hurt you. Things got out of hand. I miss you. Tyler misses you. We're having a hard time. Can we please talk? Maybe meet somewhere? I still have that check you gave me. Maybe we can use it to fix things. Love, Mia. There it was. Buried beneath the weak apology was the real reason, she wrote. The check. Except, I never gave her a check. The one she was talking about? The one I'd seen? It had my signature all right, but it wasn't mine. It was forged, written with a different pen, cashed weeks ago into one of those accounts tied to Elmstone Wellness, the fake business that had become her personal piggy bank. I flipped the note over, A second sheet was folded inside. It was a photocopy of a signed form, my name scrawled across the bottom. A loan authorization, dated a week after I left the hospital. My heart caught in my throat for a second. I never signed anything after that day. Not with her. Not ever. I grabbed the flip phone Laura had given me and dialed her number. She picked up on the second ring. "She forged another document," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "She mailed it to me." "Forward a photo to me now," Laura instructed calmly. "I'll get it to the forensic specialist. Keep the envelope. We'll get fingerprints." It felt surreal, like I was reporting a crime committed by a stranger. But that's what Mia had become. Not my daughter. Not a misguided kid who made mistakes. A calculated threat, wrapped in sweet words and recycled guilt. Later that day, I handed the envelope, letter, and forged document to the investigator Laura brought onto the case. Young guy, clean cut, moved with the quiet precision of someone who'd seen this before. He didn't treat me like a frail old woman. He treated me like a witness. And I liked that. "You're doing the right thing," he assured me, carefully slipping the letter into a protective sleeve. "This isn't just crossing lines. She's building a paper trail of intent." That night, I didn't journal. I didn't call anyone. I just sat by the window, watching the courtyard outside fade into dusk. The porch light flickered. A stray cat padded across the walkway. And I thought about how many times I'd let Mia twist the truth into something that sounded almost reasonable. How many times I'd chosen silence, just to keep the peace. But silence is a terrible protector. So this time, I let the paperwork speak for me. The forged check, the fake signature, the sweet little letter dripping with manipulation. They said everything I never had the words for. I was done pretending this was love. It wasn't. And it hadn't been for a long time. I was sitting in the courtyard with my tea when the call came. The morning sun hadn't quite burned through the haze yet, and the koi pond still looked like a sheet of glass. I'd just finished watering the little basil plant that Margaret from 2B had given me when my phone buzzed against the table. "Unknown number. Local area code," I answered, cautious but steady. "Hello? Mrs. Carter?" The voice was clear, professional, male. "This is Detective Raymond Alvarez with the county's Elder Fraud Investigation Unit. Your attorney, Laura Foster, forwarded your case file." My spine straightened. The mug trembled slightly in my hand. "Yes," I managed, setting the tea down. "That's right. We've reviewed the documents you provided, the forged check, the loan authorization, the Elmstone wellness transfers, all of it. It matches financial activity linked to your daughter's name and her known IP address." I stayed quiet, heart pounding. "Based on what we've seen," Alvarez continued, "we've opened a formal investigation into Miss Mia Carter and her associate Tyler Carter. You're listed as the primary victim." The words sank in, heavy as stones. "For multiple charges, including financial exploitation of a dependent elder, identity theft, and forgery. We've also flagged 2 additional checks processed under your name within the last 3 weeks. One involved a voice confirmation platform. We have a recording of Ms. Carter posing as you." A sharp, quiet ache bloomed in my chest. She'd gone that far. Pretending to be me, speaking in my name. "Do I need to do anything?" I asked, steadying my breath. "For now, just continue cooperating with Miss Foster. We'll be in touch to schedule a formal interview. If you feel unsafe at any point, let us know. You're entitled to a protective order." I thanked him, hung up, and set the phone down on the table with trembling hands, not from fear, but from finality. They were naming it now. Officially, legally. This wasn't family drama. This was a crime scene. And Mia? She wasn't just a manipulative daughter. She was a suspect. Later that afternoon, I told Laura everything. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, just took notes like the seasoned lawyer she was, her pen moving fast across the legal pad. "She's going to try to spin this," Laura warned. "She'll cry. She'll deny everything. She might even try to flip the narrative, say you're unstable, that you're overreacting." I nodded. "I'm ready," I replied, my voice quiet but firm. "I know who she is now." But even as I said it, the ache rose again. Not from betrayal, but from grief. I hadn't just lost my daughter. I'd lost the illusion of her, the version I kept hoping would resurface. The little girl with wild curls and scraped knees. The teenager who cried on my shoulder after her first breakup. The young woman who used to call me from work, giddy about promotions and life. That Mia? She was gone. The woman who replaced her saw me as an ATM with a pulse. As the sun dipped behind the trees and the courtyard faded to soft shadows, I sat in silence. Not because I was afraid, but because there was nothing left to say. The law would speak now, and Mia was finally going to hear it. The next few days passed in a kind of quiet I hadn't known I needed. No knocks at the door, no desperate voicemails dripping with guilt, no surprise appearances at the Cedar Pines gate. Just the steady rhythm of normal life. Tea in the morning, short walks in the garden, Margaret from 2B chattering about her crossword puzzle obsession, Mr. Davis from down the hall recommending mystery novels. That peaceful hum of people existing, without hidden agendas. I didn't tell many of them what had happened. They didn't ask. But somehow they all seemed to know enough to offer space and respect without the pity I dreaded. On Thursday, Laura showed up again, crisp and efficient, with a small stack of envelopes in hand. "These are the final confirmations from the banks," she said, spreading them across the little table by my window. "Your accounts are fully frozen and reassigned under the trust. Any attempts to access them now? Automatic alerts straight to me." She handed me a new debit card. Black, simple, my name on it. No cosigners, no backdoors. I held it in my hand, surprised by how something so ordinary could feel so powerful. "We also filed the formal notice of revocation for Mia's power of attorney," Laura added. Weeks settled into a rhythm I didn't dare believe at first. Morning tea by the window, short walks through the garden, crossword puzzles with Margaret and Mrs. Lopez from 3A, evenings with the small radio playing soft, scratchy jazz. No knocks at the door. No surprise visits. No phone calls laced with guilt or manipulation. Just quiet. I learned to exhale again. To sleep without bracing for footsteps outside my room. To trust, just a little, that I was finally building a life no one could bulldoze through. Laura kept me updated. The investigation moved forward, slow but steady. Mia had gone quiet too. But that wasn't peace. That was strategy. The kind of silence that comes before a storm, not after one. But I wasn't the same woman I was when this started. I'd stopped hoping for the old Mia to resurface. Stopped holding my breath for Tyler to show up with an apology tucked under his hoodie. I was done being the soft place they landed when they burned their bridges. I was building my own, away from the smoke. One afternoon, Laura stopped by with another stack of papers, final confirmations that every account, every title, every shred of my financial life was secure. She even handed me a new ID, fresh address, updated legal documents. "Everything's locked down," she confirmed, smiling faintly. "You're untouchable now." I traced my thumb over the crisp edge of the ID. It was small, but symbolic. A quiet reclaiming of myself. I looked around the apartment, the lemon bars on the counter, the watercolor painting Margaret gifted me, the small rosemary plant thriving in the windowsill. It wasn't much, but it was mine.
Earlier was I was hitting. It's just beside the knee palm. I said, "Oh, I'm some fish. They've definitely and cool me is then the hush would I think on John's chicken interest. You're gonna see what to mountain there. Let me originals that your head and then the range. Okay, that on the others. Actually, Rick, every touch of the mirror. I'm thrilled. For forget about the right ass can okay. Like a little idea. I does. They'll make ping mass man or even this. Been in heaven. Oh no, making all cruiser. Fake little malak. Let's use triple or it's for me. Earth. Just like we're in 8. We're Roger Viking pie. Even the old leg. Jamal was. Who asked people are Filar, which I'm getting more bless Larson, Mako, Sula Pool, Fight, Narratives, and Tape, she left it. She's doomed. Me, I nearly wanted to make plum and the things because of that. Near Freddie couldn't say. Me, this is a dusted pine. I touch a little and working it. I harp needs to be in a prayer, and I'm now for the things or a belly or Mars kittens. And email all of it. Man, was there cheap where hour that we're to think with our economics and more until every round to that. We're down all if it just means at the Harler, new wits under and from and now our type for or with me more on that hair would help and more zillers can go happy and Miami's up. Sorry, no liars. And my observe mirror shoot grim leg for that around low shoot land the is now who's the line to them star ace six scout come like for sweet fun logo pancake her thinking not loving history of us our years of Schulerman and I read this fake it was Jewish favorite snake agents way I found comments truly and people there prevailing serpents her highness there I won't get with I mean me and my purpose to lamb they may more moe stole you can which the guest shine your man they let you from it up gun paint stand and before him here the race mermaids into it I we're frozen but full career and fright them at him so you don't real and he's just well bellish one with your remnant your net made turbine sitting hatch I think man's pretty air aquarium was die smalling yeah even gone still really with the mouth not called the heart not just work now sure reach because we're mere none what to sing that minute but out and then time to all day so let's all enter to commercially and I meet the ever vote right old you have still them every done land or new enemies just tell your option let's as close via or dream for other things is the ever know ya not wait or you sure the little row hot better around I still think the train be ever even so there and right and really out in the cause with kitty reggae and it was miraculous it was not in doesn't work dance work there now didn't they hard I'm posting it's a big teeny thing or me and the sounds you has it was them is there no yeah blurry in my house then all right oh they were not the yeah here's now fit blur remars enough of this band sketch made look committed you know so looking about oh ever very shop not catching up rumors Ricky Mark Amy is Lil from the guy upstairs Glory Arab hockey the distance from the the dance layer churn and remember we've on pizza that is hard hash up ever how do this better mark the law that's we answer next to you can ever hey with Eve still are isn't that one of the little nothing oh third of found I'm all for the rest to be and around I isn't class petition at your hand the lumi are like the mad in them came was why my real love button like hello or sig ver they never actually as not limit war unfur it that's that glue and let's our jr it's really I like even them what about of the fabulous hair kid and hey mid metal sorry I like to bang months or coming to this hello to get so up doing all shit never coming this things but say he's seen I can't go with that the one stutter with the hills hello are there under to sin you wrong say smell run just we're one off sudden we're trying this game we're around him no that's something like him I stand see this is recipe super hand I would private listen either in the middle and it's like we're mad and full of you heroes with African and the critter her he made sweat Randy he and the hard wine where's the such as RPG do weird his daddy no sorry to hell up the cabin of that and he's to be Egyptian or you hit with the lots of live shailing is eating out let's get rid of this draws mer burgers she was crap but all that's supposed to afford to be here surprise I'm up isn't guys come here arm the hair right I'm at my clear air author yeah, you know me more. We're like now let's just splish get up. But in the fifth done sweet lippy. I have like having yeah fruit low the chat. Louis happen is even big massive even maybe big on the bottom so let's dig them in the hands through it just sound no like things masgrog parry that rich jerk of maze I do was get working in the edge garm pop. Well, right first just for our work there mind ourselves the right work. And I am looked at a million shore. Yes, what's taking Miss Dead as her short and I'm or Smith from better system but the high in the pit boss or fox I mean just sure work climb you the let it Asians screams the shadow
had again comes out of when milk said alright well we talk my eyes or man in manism yeah with the curd is primary married to the little gelad or in particularly I music roll you said rare iris keep on full ha so we were meaning coming I was at on there from I have to get out of it turn so then for sure wrestle there and heard that yeah the only would let your that I were in picture this you know your house you took man and all go to nurse and was in tiny glord that Milver had our enemy some in his mouth reloaded him and cash private mom and guards to show over him but that she was some parts and we happens which I resident were yeah for that we are me was remember leave the Siberian and mother yellow wags getting it is how I'm well requiem had to need your ad honor our worker add using in the merit burns from all the most of side mystery people as well meditate.
That evening, I sat in the courtyard as the sun dipped low, casting gold across the koi pond. A new resident, a woman named Ruth with silver curls and sharp, smiling eyes, settled onto the bench beside me. "Your daughter still giving you trouble?" she asked gently, as if we'd been friends for years. I smiled, small but sincere. Less trouble, more paperwork. Ruth nodded, her gaze steady. Good. Paperwork's louder than shouting and cheaper than therapy. I laughed softly. Old age wisdom. Funny how it sneaks in when you least expect it. A hummingbird hovered by the jacaranda blossoms, darting fast, free, unbothered. Grief, maybe. Because even now, part of me still remembered the version of Mia who used to crawl into bed with me after thunderstorms, who used to beg me to sing that old song I thought she'd forgotten. But that version? She wasn't coming back. By mid-afternoon, I took a walk through the courtyard. Margaret and Ruth waved from their bench, trading gossip over a shared crossword. "Want in on the argument?" Margaret teased. "We're debating whether elderberry fits here." I smiled, grateful for the normalcy. "Only if you're spelling it with a stubborn streak." They laughed, waving me over. We sat for a while, the sun warming our shoulders, their chatter a soft hum beside me. And I thought about that old public debate again, the one people love to drag out over coffee shop tables and radio talk shows. You don't turn your back on family. But no one ever talks about when family turns their back on you first. Or worse, when they push you down the stairs with both hands and a smile. The paperwork, the police reports, the legal filings, they were all necessary. But they weren't the real closure. The weeks that followed drifted by softer than I ever expected. No more letters, no more surprise knocks. Just the quiet hum of life slowly stitching itself back together. I found a rhythm at Cedar Pines. Morning tea by the window, walks through the garden with Ruth, who insisted on calling me her quiet rebel friend. Crossword puzzles with Margaret, who still refused to admit she peeked at the answers sometimes. At night, I'd sit by the window, the porch light glowing just outside. And for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. Laura kept me updated. The legal process chugged along like an old freight train. Mia and Tyler were officially served. Mia tried to deny everything, of course, claimed she was misunderstood. You thought you owned the pen. I walked away. And I built a life so quiet, so small, so mine, they can't touch it. They tried to ruin me, but they failed. And now, I'm finally free. The night is quiet now. The kind of quiet that wraps around you like a soft blanket, humming with stillness rather than fear. The porch light outside flickers faintly, casting that familiar glow across the window pane. The tea has gone cold on the table beside me, but I don't mind. It's a small price for peace. I never imagined this would be my story. No one does, really. You raise a family. You pour your love, your energy, your entire heart into the people you brought into this world. And somewhere along the way, you start to believe you're safe in their hands. But life, I've learned, isn't always kind. And love? Love isn't a guarantee that they'll love you back the way you deserve. But here's the beautiful, stubborn truth. Survival is still yours to claim. No matter how hard they push, no matter how calculated the betrayal, no matter how deep the cracks run, you can always rebuild. And the small life I've carved out here, it's not perfect, it's not grand, but it's safe. It's mine. And for the first time in years, I can hear my own heartbeat. And it's steady. So if you're listening to this, maybe nursing your own quiet ache, maybe wondering if you'll ever feel safe again, let me tell you, you will. You will. Even if the road there is messy, slow, and stitched together with paper trails and hard choices. Because you're stronger than they think. And you deserve a story that ends with peace. Sleep well.